You land at Dulles International Airport after visiting your parents in Tehran. You've done this a dozen times. You have a valid green card. You've lived in Virginia for 8 years. You work as a software engineer. You pay taxes. Your kids are U.S. citizens. But when you hand your passport to the CBP officer, something is different. He looks at your green card, then at his screen, then back at you. He calls over his supervisor. You're escorted to a secondary inspection room. Your phone is taken. Hours pass. No explanation, just questions. Where were you? Who did you see? What did you do? And then the words that collapse your world. Your green card is being reviewed for abandonment. You might not be admitted. Your job starts Monday. Your kids are at home. Your entire life is on the other side of that door. And you have no idea if you'll ever walk through it again. This is not a hypothetical nightmare. This is happening right now to lawful permanent residents with ties to Iran. And if you hold a green card and have any connection to certain countries, you need to understand what's unfolding because the rules you think protect you may not apply the way you believe they do. Right now, tensions between the United States and Iran are escalating faster than most people realize. Military posturing, diplomatic breakdowns, threats of retaliation, cyber attacks, proxy conflicts, and buried inside this geopolitical chaos is an immigration enforcement mechanism most green card holders have never heard of. It's not a new law. It's not even a new policy. It's a discretionary authority that Customs and Border Protection has always possessed, but rarely deployed at scale. Until now. And it's turning routine international travel into a life-altering gamble for thousands of people who thought their permanent residency was exactly that. Permanent. Here's what you're not being told. A green card does not guarantee re-entry into the United States. It never has. It gives you the right to live and work here, but every single time you return from international travel, you are technically applying for admission. And that admission is granted at the discretion of a CBP officer who has the authority to question your ties to the United States, your activities abroad, and whether you still deserve to keep your status. Most of the time, this process takes 30 seconds. You scan your card, you answer a question or two, you're waved through. But when geopolitical winds shift, that discretion becomes a weapon, and right now, it's being used. Let me tell you about Arman. Not his real name, but his story is real. Arman is a green card holder. He's been living in California for 9 years. He works in medical device sales. He owns a condo. He has a car lease. He has a retirement account. Last December, his father in Tehran had a stroke. Arman flew back for 3 weeks to help his family. He kept his job. He kept his apartment. He kept paying his bills remotely. He did everything immigration attorneys tell you to do to maintain your residency. He came back in late January. At LAX, he was pulled into secondary inspection. He was questioned for 6 hours. They asked him about his father's health, about his relatives, about his social media, about his opinions on U.S. foreign policy. They asked if he had contact with anyone in the Iranian government. He didn't. They asked if anyone in his extended family worked for any state institution. His cousin worked at a public hospital. That was enough. His green card was flagged for review. He was paroled into the United States temporarily, meaning he was allowed to enter, but his permanent resident status is now under investigation. He's been waiting for a decision for 5 weeks. He can't travel. He can't sponsor family. He can't even be sure he'll still have status in 60 days. And here's the part that should terrify you. Arman did nothing wrong. This is the reality of what's being called the travel lockdown. And it's not just affecting people born in Iran. It's affecting naturalized U.S. citizens who were born there. It's affecting green card holders who have Iranian parents but were born somewhere else. It's affecting people who traveled to Iran years ago for business or family reasons and now have that stamp in their passport history. And it's affecting people from other countries on the expanding enforcement radar: Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Lebanon. If you have any biographical connection to these regions, you are now in a higher scrutiny category, and that category is growing. So what actually changed? Why is this happening now? The legal framework has always been there. Section 212 of the Immigration and Nationality Act gives the government broad authority to determine who is admissible to the United States. It includes grounds related to national security, foreign policy, and public safety. These are intentionally vague. They give officials enormous discretion. Historically, this discretion was used selectively. A few cases here and there, individuals with direct red flags. But in early 2026, as conflict escalation reached critical levels, internal directives were issued to CBP field offices. Not publicly announced, not published in the Federal Register, just operational guidance. The guidance instructed officers to enhance screening procedures for individuals with ties to countries of concern. It told them to look for indicators of potential risk: prolonged time abroad, frequent travel to certain regions, family connections to foreign governments or state institutions, social media activity that could suggest sympathies or affiliations. And here's the key part. The guidance did not define what constitutes a risk indicator with any precision. It left it to officer judgment. That means your re-entry is now subject to the interpretation, the suspicion, the gut feeling, and the political climate awareness of whoever is standing behind that desk when you land. One officer might wave you through. Another might detain you for hours. Another might refer you for a full investigation. There is no consistency. There is no clear standard. And there is almost no immediate recourse. Now let's talk about what happens if you are flagged. You will likely be taken to a secondary inspection area. You will be asked a series of questions. Some will seem routine. Some will feel accusatory. You may be asked to unlock your phone. You may be asked for social media passwords. You may be asked about your political views. You may be asked if you've ever donated to a charity that operates in the country you visited. Legally, you have the right to refuse some of these requests. But refusing can result in extended detention, denial of entry, or formal proceedings to revoke your green card. So you're placed in an impossible situation. Cooperate and potentially incriminate yourself based on innocent activity. Refuse and face immediate consequences. Most people cooperate, and sometimes that cooperation is used against them. If CBP believes there is a question about your admissibility, they may allow you to enter under parole. That's what happened to Arman. Parole is not an admission. It's a temporary permission to be in the United States while your case is reviewed. You are not technically a lawful permanent resident during this period. You are in a legal limbo. You can't leave the country. If you do, you'll likely be barred from returning. You can't adjust status. You can't file certain immigration benefits. And if the review goes against you, you could be placed in removal proceedings. That means deportation. That means losing everything you built. That means starting over in a country you may not have lived in for years or decades. Here's the part that keeps immigration attorneys up at night. Many green card holders don't realize they're at risk until it's too late. They think because they've traveled before without issues, they'll be fine now. But the enforcement environment has shifted. What was safe 6 months ago is not safe today. And the shift is invisible until you're standing at that inspection counter and the officer doesn't smile. So what should you do? If you hold a green card and have any connection to Iran or other high-scrutiny countries, you need to operate with extreme caution right now. First, avoid all non-essential international travel. If you can delay a trip, delay it. If you can handle family matters remotely, do that. Every time you leave the United States, you are rolling the dice. And the odds are worse now than they've been in years. If you absolutely must travel, document everything. Keep records of your ties to the United States, lease agreements, mortgage statements, utility bills, pay stubs, tax returns, employment letters, bank statements, evidence that your life is here, that you intend to remain here, that this is your home. Bring physical copies of these documents with you when you travel. Do not rely on digital files you can't access if your phone is confiscated. Before you leave, consult with an immigration attorney, not a general lawyer, not a notario, a licensed immigration attorney who understands current enforcement trends. They can assess your specific risk factors. They can advise you on what to say and what not to say at the border. They can prepare a re-entry strategy in case you're detained. And if something does go wrong, you'll already have representation in place instead of scrambling to find help while you're locked in a holding room with no phone. If you are pulled into secondary inspection, stay calm. Be respectful. Answer questions truthfully, but do not volunteer information. Do not speculate. Do not guess. If you don't know the answer to a question, say you don't know. Do not make assumptions about what they want to hear. Do not try to prove your loyalty by oversharing or by criticizing other countries or groups. That can backfire. If you are asked about your political opinions, you can politely decline to answer and state that you prefer not to discuss political matters. You cannot be denied entry solely for refusing to discuss your political beliefs, but understand that it may extend your detention. If you are asked to unlock your phone or provide passwords, know that you have the right to refuse, but refusal may lead to device seizure and additional scrutiny. There is no perfect answer here. You are balancing your rights against practical consequences. An attorney can help you navigate that balance before you're in the moment. If you are paroled in or told your status is under review, contact an immigration attorney immediately. Do not wait. Do not assume it will resolve itself. These reviews can take months, and during that time, evidence can be gathered against you. Deadlines can pass, options can close. You need someone fighting for you from day one. Do not speak to any government officials about your case without your attorney present. Anything you say can be used in proceedings against you. Even innocent statements can be misinterpreted or taken out of context. Here's what you should not do. Do not lie. Ever. If you are asked a question and the truthful answer might look bad, do not lie to make it look better. Lying to a federal officer is a crime. It is grounds for immediate inadmissibility. It will destroy any chance you have of defending your case. If the truth is complicated, say so. If you need time to gather documents or consult a lawyer, ask for that. But do not fabricate. Do not exaggerate. Do not minimize. The consequences of dishonesty are far worse than the consequences of an uncomfortable truth. Do not assume that because you've been a green card holder for years, you're safe. Length of residency matters, but it is not a shield. There are people who have held green cards for 15, 20 years who are being questioned right now. Your history helps, but it does not guarantee protection. Do not assume that because you're not political, you're not at risk. You don't need to be involved in activism or government to be flagged. Simply having family in the wrong place or traveling at the wrong time can be enough in this environment. Do not assume that because you're a good person with no criminal record, this won't happen to you. This is not about your character. It's about geopolitics and bureaucracy and discretion. And those forces do not care about your individual story unless you make them care through legal representation and documentation. Now let's address the bigger picture. Why is this happening on such a scale? Officially, the rationale is national security. The government's position is that during periods of heightened threat, enhanced screening is necessary to protect the country, that individuals with ties to adversarial nations may pose risks, even if they have lawful status, that CBP must have the flexibility to make real-time judgments about who should be admitted. And there is some legal legitimacy to that argument. Courts have historically given the executive branch wide latitude on matters of immigration and national security, especially at the border. The border is considered a unique zone where constitutional protections are more limited. The government's authority to control who enters is at its peak. But here's what's also true. These enforcement surges disproportionately affect specific communities. They create fear. They disrupt families. They damage careers. They punish people who have done nothing wrong except have the wrong name, the wrong birthplace, the wrong passport stamp. And they often do not meaningfully improve security, because the people who pose actual threats are not the green card holders flying back from a parent's funeral. They're not the engineers and nurses and students who have built lives here. The dragnet approach catches the innocent far more often than it catches the dangerous, and it erodes trust in the very institutions that are supposed to protect everyone living here lawfully. There are also reports, unconfirmed but circulating within immigrant communities, that some individuals are being pressured to become informants, to report on their communities, to provide information on mosques, cultural organizations, or social groups, in exchange for favorable resolution of their cases. If this happens to you, you need to understand that you are under no legal obligation to agree. You have the right to refuse. You have the right to consult an attorney before making any such agreement. And you should absolutely consult an attorney, because agreements like this can have long-term consequences you do not fully understand in the moment. Do not be coerced. Do not be afraid to say no. And do not agree to anything without legal counsel. What about U.S. citizens who were born in Iran or have dual nationality? You are in a different category legally, but you are not immune. U.S. citizens cannot be denied entry to the United States. That is a constitutional right. But you can be subjected to extended questioning, device searches, and other enhanced screening. And if you hold dual nationality, there have been cases where individuals were pressured to renounce their other citizenship or face threats of passport revocation. These are extreme scenarios, but they are not theoretical. If you are a U.S. citizen and you are treated in a way that violates your rights, document everything. Get names, get badge numbers, note the time and location, and report it to a civil rights organization or attorney as soon as possible. For those who are thinking about applying for citizenship, this is actually a critical time to consider doing so if you're eligible. U.S. citizenship offers far stronger protections than a green card. Once you are a citizen, you cannot be denied entry. You cannot have your status revoked except in cases of fraud in obtaining it. You have full constitutional rights. If you have held your green card for 5 years or 3 years if married to a U.S. citizen, and you meet the other requirements, consider filing for naturalization now. The process takes months, and the situation may get worse before it gets better. Citizenship is your best defense. Let me be clear about something. This video is not intended to create panic. It is intended to create awareness. The vast majority of green card holders will continue to travel and re-enter without incident, but the risk has increased. And the consequences of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or having the wrong profile in the wrong political moment, are severe. You deserve to know that. You deserve to make informed decisions about your travel. You deserve to protect yourself and your family. Here's what we know is coming. The enforcement posture is unlikely to ease in the near term. If tensions with Iran continue to escalate, if military action occurs, if there are attacks or counterattacks, the scrutiny will intensify. More people will be detained. More cases will be flagged. More families will be separated. And the legal process to resolve these cases is slow. Immigration courts are backlogged by years. Administrative reviews take months. If you are caught in this system, you are looking at long-term uncertainty. That is why prevention is so critical. Do not put yourself in a position where you need to defend your status if you can avoid it. There is also a legislative angle to watch. Some members of Congress are pushing for expanded travel bans and automatic revocation of status for individuals with ties to certain countries. These proposals have not passed, but they are being discussed. If enacted, they would make the current situation far worse. They would eliminate discretion and replace it with blanket exclusions. Stay informed. Follow credible immigration news sources. Follow policy updates from organizations like the American Immigration Lawyers Association. Follow legal advocacy groups. Do not rely on social media rumors or community gossip. Get your information from people who actually understand the law. One more thing. If you are already outside the United States and you are seeing this video and you are concerned about your ability to re-enter, contact a U.S. immigration attorney before you attempt to return. Do it now. They can assess your situation remotely. They can advise you on timing. They can tell you what documents to bring. They can coordinate with colleagues in the U.S. to be on standby if you are detained. Do not just show up at the airport and hope for the best. Hope is not a strategy. Preparation is. So let's recap the key points. Green card holders are being subjected to enhanced scrutiny at U.S. ports of entry due to escalating tensions with Iran and other countries. This scrutiny can result in detention, secondary inspection, device searches, and even parole or status review. The legal authority for this has always existed, but enforcement has intensified dramatically. You are at higher risk if you were born in Iran or certain other countries, if you have family there, if you have traveled there recently, or if you have any biographical ties that appear in your immigration file. Avoid non-essential international travel right now. If you must travel, document your U.S. ties extensively and consult an immigration attorney before you leave. At the border, stay calm, be truthful, do not volunteer unnecessary information, and know your rights. If your status is questioned, get legal help immediately. Consider applying for U.S. citizenship if you are eligible. Stay informed through credible sources, not rumors. This video is for general information only and is not legal advice. Every immigration case is different. What applies to one person may not apply to another. If you have specific concerns about your situation, you need to speak with a qualified immigration attorney who can review your facts and give you personalized guidance. We are going to continue covering this situation as it develops. The next video will break down what happens if you are actually placed in removal proceedings, what your options are, and how to fight back. That is information every green card holder should have, even if you never need to use it. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss it. Turn on notifications. And if you know someone who might be at risk, share this video with them. Knowledge is protection. Silence is danger. This is not the America most green card holders imagined when they came here, but it is the America we are dealing with right now, and the only way to survive it is to be informed, be prepared, and be strategic. Stay safe.